Hello children, welcome to 8th social class. Children, in the last class we learned meaning of a different kind of economy we have learned. Especially what is economy we have learned. Economy in the sense where a matter of a government will be decide that what kind of the financial decision has to be taken for the development of a country. That can be called as a economy, where a financial matter or the decision of a government will be considered, isn't it? And as per that we have seen a changes in a economic pattern, right? And we have seen what is meant by underdeveloped, developed, as well as a developing economy, right? Now we are going to refer different type of a economy that we can see nowadays. Okay, in that first one, let's see capitalist economy. Okay, what do you mean by capitalist economy? See, capitalist economy in the sense where the individual is free to take a decision of a occupation or decision of his property is left to individual free. Okay, suppose you take an example of a Indian citizen, we are not left to free to choose our occupation. Occupation in the sense you may think that yes ma'am, I want to run a hotel, but as per my wishes we are running a hotel, you can say it, but have you observed, to run the hotel you have to take a permission from the government. You have to take a municipality permission of where you are going to take up or set up your hotel, and after that you have to make a food license to show that the food of your hotel is good. All such formalities involved by the government, right? Whereas in the capitalist economy, no such government interference is there, where individual is free to choose a occupation. Along with that, he can wish to have a property of his own. Not only that, how much property if you want to acquire, that he can wish to occupy. Nobody will question it. Whereas, suppose here if you see, there are in our India also there are many rich people, no, undoubtedly there are many rich people, but they have to give the report to the income tax that from what was their income and whether their income is equal to support to purchase that much property will be seen. In the sense that suppose your income is very less, children, and you are acquired very big bungalows and lot of income is there in your account. So from where it comes, isn't it? That answer you have to give to the income tax, right? So that is called as a government interfere. Whereas in capitalist country, there is no such limitation. A person want to acquire wealth of his own, so totally it is free of choice. That is called as a capitalist economy or free enterprise economy we can call it. Okay. So let's see what are the features of a capitalist economy, that is private property. Okay, example, private property in the sense you see, you may heard public property in India, right? What do you mean by public property? A park. Okay, park is a public property in the sense that anybody can go, anybody can play, anybody can relax there, because that park belong to the government, public property. So government in the sense it is left to all. Whereas private property in the sense either it belongs to person A or person B. Without his permission we cannot enter in the property of a person A. That is called as a private property. Private in the sense as yours own particularly it belongs to. Is it clear? Your house is your own. Okay, whereas temple is a public property. We can wish any religion, any caste people can visit to your home. That is a public. Private property in the sense your house is your own. That we call it as a private property. So to anybody should enter to your home, they should take a permission of yours. Yes, children, are you getting? So that is a private property. Here in capitalist economy, as I told, it is a free enterprise. Anybody, one who want to acquire property, they can acquire and keep. So there is a no matter that this belongs to government and that belongs to government. No such complication. Whereas freedom of enterprise. Freedom of enterprise refer to you can set up an industry or you can run a business of your choice. Okay, so there is no government interference while you are starting or running any kind of an industry. You are free to choose occupation of your own. Okay, and you can produce the goods which you like, and to produce the goods you are responsible to arrange the raw material which is required for your production. So you are free to choose a goods which you like to produce, and that is your responsibility to arrange the goods which is required for your production. One thing. Then consumer sovereignty. Consumer sovereignty in the sense consumer are free to consume a goods which they like. Okay. Example, you see some few of the medicine is banned by the government. Why they banned? You may heard because in that medicine a government is observed that there is some intoxication or the drug content which create intoxic in the sense, see, when we have so much of a severe pain, doctor will insist as a painkiller, right? After consuming that painkiller, what will happen? We will fall into sleep, so that in sleep we will forget our pain, so we will fall into sleep, but we don't know the side effect of that sleep. While consuming that tablet, our kidney or our liver or any of our digestive part may get infected or affected. We may not know that at the moment when we are consuming it. Later it may come to know. So seeing the future problem, a government may ban the tablet. That is called as a government interference. Whereas though the consumer wishes to take the tablet, because of the restriction of a government, consumer cannot take it. Okay, are you getting? Whereas in capitalist economy, consumer are free to consume anything, whatever he wants. He has to pay and he has to get the product which he wishes to consume. That kind of a freedom we can see in a capitalist economy. Okay, then it is a profit motive. What do you mean by profit motive? As in capitalist economy, I told you there is a free entrepreneurship, right? When we are setting up free enterprise, as a producer, children, you think that as a producer you will keep a product to sell 15 rupees. Okay, though it is a worth of a 10 rupees, your selling rate you will fix to 15 rupees. So there is a 5 rupees profit to you, right? That is a profit motive. Is it clear? A product of X which is worth to 10 rupees, you are going to sell it for 15 rupees. So that 5 rupees is a profit. That is called as a profit motive, because here nobody is there to question you that why you are selling 10 rupees product to 15 rupees. Free enterprise. At the same time, consumer choice. If they wish, they will take it for 15 rupees or else they will leave it. So even there nobody will force on consumer to buy it. So we can say it is a profit motive. Then competition, market and price. So as I told, where there are free entrepreneurship or free ownership, you can start any business of you want. Suppose today you are selling commodity X or product X, tomorrow you may sell it Y or you may sell it Z. Nobody will ask you. Okay, and a shop A was selling X for 10 rupees and shop B may sell X product for 5 rupees also. Is it clear? A shop A selling product X for 10 rupees and shop B selling same product X for 5 rupees. Nobody will ask you, and that 10 rupees to 5 rupees is called as a price competition. Is it clear? To attract the consumer, you may reduce the goods rate to 10 rupees to 5 rupees. That is called as a price competition or price mechanism. Nobody will ask you, whatever may be the market price, nobody will ask you. What they will do, they move on. The consumer will like purchasing here, they will come and purchase. He will feel lost. To make his rate down, he may keep it for 3 rupees. Then again the consumer will shift from here to here. We cannot question to A because you are free entrepreneur. You can set up a business of your choice. So there is nobody to ask. Okay? And main thing in capitalist economy we can observe that it is absence of a government interference. As I told, in capitalist economy there is free from government interference. How in the sense? I told you, when you set up any industry, that is your wish. Okay? While producing goods in your industry, you have to arrange the raw material or the material which is required for your production. So you are responsible to arrange those products. So you are responsible there. Okay? So as when you are responsible, you are responsible for your loss and profit because you are going to fix the rate for your product. Either you increase or decrease, nobody will ask you. Okay? So when you are free from all, there is absolutely clear that there is a no government interference. So when you are increasing from 10 to 15, government won't ask you. Okay? When shop B is selling 10 rupees goods for 5 rupees in low rate, then also government won't ask you, or government even doesn't ask that why you are selling these. When you are selling X today, why you are selling Y, you don't ask. And what was the consumer wish? Nothing will be asked by the government. So we can say in capitalist economy there is free from government interference. So for this we can give example. USA is a best example for a capitalist economy. Okay, so they are the responsible for the capitalist economy, and we can give USA and many other European countries is example for a capitalist economy. And I hope that capitalist economy is clear to you. Okay, and next one is socialist economy. So what is socialist economy? Socialist economy is where in capitalist economy you can see, okay, free from government interference, whereas in socialist economy everything is under the control of a government. Each and every steps of a producer, consumer, individual will be looked after by the government itself. That is a socialist economy. And how it will be looked after? Through the central planning. It will make a central planning, means one committee will be made, and that committee will look after what is good and what is not good for the people of a country, and it will see the requirement of the people. On that basis it will make a plan and it will implement these plan on a producer as well as a consumer. Okay, so what are the features of the socialist economy? That was collective ownership of means of production and wealth. So it is a responsibility of a government to have control on means of production and wealth. So whatever quantity of a goods which was produced in a country was controlled by government. Example, in your house, okay, you are only 3 members, okay. Assume that you are only 3 members, and for 3 members, if your mother is making a 20 chapati, okay, so your capacity is, think that your father may eat 4, your mother may 3, or you are equal to 4. How much it become? It become a 9. Okay, remaining 11 is the excess. Okay, that 11 excess 5 you may compensate in the evening. Okay, but still there are how much? 6 is remaining. 6 is the excessive. Right? These excessive 6 is called as a what? Waste of wealth. Dear children, why it is waste of wealth? See, tomorrow you may eat it that chapati, but tomorrow that is not as fresh as today. Okay? So, this is called as a waste. When there are nobody to eat that 6 chapati today, then that will be excess of a wealth. So, the same manner in the socialist economy, while producing the goods, a government will interfere that it will ask whether 20 chapati is required for 3 people, it will ask. Okay? If it is required, why it is required? You have to answer. As a producer, you have to answer. If not, then the government doesn't allow you to produce the 20 chapati, because whatever 20 to produce these 20 chapati, whatever wealth required, wheat flour or oil or the gas which is required to prepare it, everything will be totally waste. So, it will insist that you produce, instead of 20, you produce 14. Okay, and keep this 6 as a reserve, or no need to produce. So, store the material which is produced of a 6 chapati and use it for tomorrow production or some day else production. That is called as a collective ownership of a means and wealth. Is it clear? Is it clear? So, it will have a control on a production as well as the wealth of a nation. Then, social welfare objective. It also keep it in mind that whatever development of a society is required, that will be looked after by the socialist economy. It means that it not only focus on a producer. As a producer, if you produce any goods and it will be benefited to the government. No, it will think that if the producer is producing a goods of a 10 rupees, as a consumer, whether they are able to purchase it, that will be looked after by the government. So, we can say it is a social welfare object. Okay. Then the central planning. As I told, every plan regarding the production, consumption, exchange or the social welfare, everything, or the financial matter or the expenditure of a country, everything will be planned by Central Planning Commission. That is the main in a socialist production, where it will look after that this is the income of a country, this year income, and that could be the expenditure, and what could be remaining after spending that, what could be remaining in the hands of a government, and that remaining how it can be invested on further development. Everything planned by the Planning Commission. Okay. Then the next is reduction of inequality. What do you mean by inequality? See, in capitalist economy, I gave you example, right? Remember, shop A and shop A and shop B will sell the same goods X and X. One will sell for 10 rupees and another one will sell for 5 rupees. So that what will happen? There is a inequality. He will get more consumer and he will get the less consumer. Right? That inequality will be tried to remove by the government. How? Because 10 rupees is very expensive, 5 rupees is very less. So better you make it for 8 rupees. so that consumer goes to any shop, he will get the same price, same product. Nobody can face the loss. So it will bring the equality. Okay. Then no class conflict. As I told that there is a all both common working people as well as the high class working people, they may get the equality in the socialist economy, because where we can see equal distribution of a wealth. Why? Because there is a no class conflict, I told. See here, all the property and enterprise industry are owned by the individual. Okay. So here in capitalist industry, capitalist economy, children, remember, one who have a money, they will becoming having more and more money, and they will be in the process of increasing more money, and they will become rich only, and poor remain as a poor only, because there is no source of income and there is no hope of getting rich. Whereas here in the socialist economy, because of the interference of the government, the class conflict, whatever is there, rich, poor, or high class people, low class people, that can be removed. And example for this was Russia and China. Children, example for socialist economy is Russia and China. Then the last comes is mixed economy. What do you mean by mixed economy? Here in the mixed economy, both government and private company exist together. Okay? Here in socialist economy, only government. Here only individual. Whereas in mixed economy, both government interference also is there, individual freedom is also there. Have you noticed here, without interference of the government, people will be left free. Whereas here, under the full care of the government, individual will be left denied of her rights. They wish and don't like is nobody to ask in socialist economy. Whereas in mixed economy, both government decision will be considered as well as the private, like as individual decision will be considered. Okay. Okay, that is called as a socialist economy. And as I told, in mixed economy we can see coexistence of a public as well as a private sector. As yesterday as I told, in mixed economy we can see both public sector as well as the private sector. Coexistence of a public and private sector. So public sector in the sense there are the few industry which are owned by the government. Example, your iron and steel, and few of the resources which are non-renewable in nature, children. You know that which are there, right? So when these resources are non-renewable in nature, as a government, as a responsible head, it is the responsibility of the government to look after the careful use of these resources. Such industries are looked and owned by the public sector, whereas private sector, like a few of the education institution you take, or some of the small IT companies, or any other industry where it earning income also, at the same time where individual freedom also given to the consumer to set up. Like hotel you take, there is no hotel which is run by the government, where choice of running hotel is left to given to a government to the individual. So in the country like India, we can see there is a existence of a public sector as well as a private sector together. So we can say there is a coexistence of a public and private sector together. Then individual freedom. As I told, in mixed economy, all individual wishes can be given free to decide, where government decision also consider, along with that individual freedom or individual decision will be decided that to run the industry. How in the sense, see, individual, as an individual, I want to run a gold shop. Okay, to run the gold shop, I require gold. It doesn't mean that when I require gold, I can go for a gold mining. What has to do? Now gold in a condition where it cannot be non-renewable in the nature. So already what gold resources is there, either I have to import it or the resources which is in my hand, that I have to keep it in control for the proper use, right? In such cases what I will do, I will try to use that in a proper manner. Okay, so I will take a government permission to get that gold for my production. After the permission of a government, I will produce that goods in a proper manner, right? So that what will happen, I can do the business which I want, so that there will become individual freedom. So a government will provide you gold for your production. So their government will take care of the supply of gold, so that you can produce the gold goods for your use or for your shop. That is a individual freedom. Then economic planning. As I told, in socialist economy, everything will be decided by the Central Planning Commission. Whereas in mixed economy, we can see economic planning. Economic planning in the sense, a government will see to help to maintain balance in economy, it need a income, right? And how income can be earned? How income can be earned? Suppose example you take, as a single person, I cannot do all the work every day, all the 24 hours I cannot do all the work. So what I need support of a worker, one who can support my work, so that my work can be get finished, right? So that I will take a help of a other, right? Here, as a government cannot do all the work of a country, so it required individual like us. In the help of an individual, a government can do the work. At the same time, by providing jobs to us, we can earn, and that what we earn, that we can pay to the government in form of a tax, right? So what is the double benefit? One side, your work is going to be done by other. Another side, that other person will pay you the income tax. So government will earn the income. After getting that income, government will decide that to which I have to send, or how to utilize that money or income for the welfare of a public people. That will be decided, and that is called as a economic planning. Okay, it will not send entire income what is earned, as it is a part of a income. It has to save some amount of money for the development or for the benefit of a future. Okay, that is another part. Whereas another part is price mechanism. Price mechanism in the sense, see, here I told 10 rupee goods you cannot sell to 5 rupees, or even you cannot sell to 8 rupees, because what will happen? It will cost a 2 rupees or a 5 rupees loss. So by selling these 10 rupees product, government will keep in mind both producer as well as the consumer. Okay, so it will decide that okay, this is a 10 rupees product, you can keep it for 11 rupees, so that a consumer also can take it, and one who produced it, he can also get the profit, and one who was going to sell, he can also get the profit. And that is called as a price mechanism. Clear? Price mechanism, it means that a government will look after neither producer nor seller or a consumer will get into a loss. All the three should get equal benefit while selling the goods. That is called as a price mechanism. Means all the price of a goods is controlled by by the government itself for the sake of a good of both producer, seller as well as a consumer. Clear? So nobody should get into a loss. And as per your wish, you cannot set 15 rupees for the product, or shop we cannot sell it for a 5 rupees, because there is a control of a government, and government will tend to sell it for a 11 rupees only, and that is called as a price mechanism. Is it clear, children? Today we have learned different kinds of a economy and its feature also. It is very easy and very interesting also. You read the lesson and underline the important things, because features of the economy will come to ask for a 3-mark question, that is compulsory question. Any one they will ask. Okay, so be prepared for all the 3 economic feature also, children. Okay, you read well and take care.